talking about relative to community work and CDCs, I believe it is. Bob?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Can.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Pretty good. How about you, Tim? Glad to hear you.
Good.
Just to be brief, when the district was shut down and they turned off community development, some of the CDCs went away. Woodward State Neighborhood Association, they assumed that role because Miss Velma Stevens was the last president, and I was president before I went on the school board. So, cutting things short, I have assumed the role of the CDC because it wasn't certified by our district council person that we were the CDC, although we've been operating as a CDC in District 1 or the spokespeople for District 1. So what I have done is I've assumed a role and made it a community citizen district council rather than trying to operate within the guidelines of the old citizen district council because they've nullified our voices as CDCs. Mm-hmm. But they still have to use them according to city code and state federal guidelines for the disbursement of funds. So what they have done, what the city has done, they're using their own people to disperse this money. But it also knocks us out of community development and redevelopment. If you don't have a strong voice, and it's only because we had a strong voice in District 1 that we stopped the development that was over here. But if you don't have a strong voice, you have to concede to whatever your council person wishes to have rather than what we as a community would like. And that's problematic when the mayor and the city council is not dispersing information to us as it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. So that's why I've I've just taken the CDC, and instead of using all the guidelines for the city, I have formulated our own articles of incorporation and submitted it to the state. And I need support in order to certify that we are bona fide.
So Robert, if you do this, will the city actually recognize that organization and work with them as you say they're required to under the city ordinance?
Well, they don't have to certify us, but like I said, it's everything, even all the original CDCs was guided by the residents. They were self-governing. All of them were self-governing. So they're governed by the residents. But according to the way they were set up through coordinating council, you had to be recommended by the council to the mayor accepts you, and then send it back to council for approval over public hearing.
Got it.
So that's how the certification goes. But since the CDCs, all council persons have to do is say, yes, this is our CDC, and these are our people from the CDC. That's why we don't have any problem when we go speak at city council or planning or zoning. We have that right as the citizens. However, unless the council person say, well, this is our CDC, and they're operating as our CDC, then we don't have certification.
I gotcha.
And that's with all CDCs. There's two council people that don't even have CDCs in their district.
Mm-hmm. So based on what you're saying, Robert, it sounds like this, and this wouldn't be shocking to hear, but it's disappointing to hear. Based on what you're saying, it sounds like the city is violating its own ordinances by not having certified CDCs in some areas that it's properly consulting with.
Yes.
Well, they're not, because they don't have shoot. I'm mixing things up. They're not because they don't have the community development portion operating. So
because they sent that over to the county for the CDBG funds.
See, the CDBG funds is only one portion of a city ordinance that was adopted by the city council. And
Right.
also, there's a federal ordinance that says that federal funds can't be dispersed by a municipality without citizen participation. And that's where Oakland County comes in. With the money being sent to Oakland County, they chose not to adhere to our committee, but they formulated their own citizen participation. We only have 2 people that sits on that board, if we have that now. So when the money can only be dispersed to a municipality, the county couldn't get that money. So they're the fiduciaries for us, but the only reason it's still at the county is so the mayor can do what she want to do with the money. And it don't really have to go through us citizens, because the people that sits on that board, they convert to her.
Got it.
So what all we really want is notification, and to have the right to, and which we automatically get this right anyway, automatically have the right to make recommendations. We're not trying to fight the city with this. All we want to do is be inclusive of the developments and also the funds that come in under our name. See, we've been X'd out of all of that. And in fact, I'm just going to give y'all my personal view of what's going on over here. The south side over here in District 1, the lower end is getting boxed in by development that we have not had a voice in. Now, Village of Bloomfield, I have no problem with their developments. However, the way they have it fenced off and the way their buildings are so high over there on our end, and it wasn't originally supposed to be that close to us since they wasn't going to open the streets. But now the buildings are so high that the apartments look down on us. Same way over here off of Woodward. Those housing back there by Astorwood, back in that community, they're getting ready to clear out some space for new housing. But those houses are bigger than ours. So basically they sit up over us and look down on us. Same way with the hospital. If they build a new emergency room back there, that's going to be looking down on us in the neighborhood, which our neighborhoods are not being developed as they should have been over the last 30 years. So if somebody don't take a voice and speak to the powers that be, then we're always going to be denigrated and come to really in existence, because these big buildings and developments that are coming in that's surrounding us and looking down on us are not going to want to see us non-progressive, or our non-progressiveness right there in their backyard. So eventually it's going to come down to either us or them if we don't speak up and have our city to do something in behalf of the residents, because we don't really have a part to play in any of the development that's going up in the city.
So to properly help you, Robert, I'd like to first take a look at the ordinance in the city that governs CDCs. You don't happen to know the citation for that? If not, I can find it or try to find it.
I got your number in my phone.
Okay.
I'll send you a snapshot.
That's perfect.
I have the paperwork, And if you want, I can give you a copy of the paperwork that I have.
Yeah, and I'd like to find the actual ordinance that talks about the role of CDC so that we can go about this in the right way.
Yeah, it's
8-9.
you can find that on if you Google Citizen District Councils, Article 125 through 128.
It's page 20.
That explains what the state mandates are. And it explains what the CDCs are and their guidelines.
When you say Article 125, are you talking about the city's municipal code or the state statutes?
The state.
Okay.
If you Google that, that gives a partial explanation, but we're supposed to have a city plan every year for community development and redevelopment. And that's where the Citizen District Council comes in, and that's where the city code speaks to. And like I said, I'll send you a snapshot of that one. And also, like I said, you can go to Google and it'll show you exactly what I'm part of what I'm gonna send you today.
Okay. Yeah, shoot me what you've got, and then I can try to fish around and see if I can find both state statutory guidance as well as local ordinance guidance. I mean, I've been doing some of that while we're talking here, and I haven't found anything yet, but that doesn't mean it's not out there, so I'll keep looking.
Oh yeah, it's out there. And they also did a study in the one from the state. They did a study of the CDCs in Detroit, and it also explains how the municipalities are kind of Xing out the CDC by not sharing the information with them. So we are a valued asset to the city. We're just not being used in that synopsis.
Is that with what's going on in Detroit? We were following a lot of the Illich development and the arena, and how community benefits were kind of X'd out of that agreement. Is that the same kind of body of? No, we were just looking at community benefits agreements. I didn't know what formal channel it was through. Was that?
Yeah, it's somewhat the same. And that's why the study says from a certain point, certain year, the city council stopped really notifying citizens of the developments because of their input. We still have that input and they use it when it's convenient, but they don't necessarily let us see what the plan is. Pontiac don't have a plan, but it's a development area as far as the state is concerned. The whole city is, because it's so low income. So, like I said, I'll share that information to you because the Citizen District Council that I have is centered around all the information within these documents, only negating the fact that we have to be bona fide by the city council or the mayor. All we have to do is have enough residents on board to certify us, and they have to listen. That's just my point of view now. And that's what I believe.
Yeah, I'm sympathetic, Robert. I want to make sure I know the lay of the law here, so I'll keep looking for both the state law and the city ordinances on point.
Awesome.
Okay, and like I said, I'm glad to share the old information that I have. But when they tell you that it's no longer a city ordinance because there's no community development, you can't keep using it if it don't exist. And you can't spend federal monies without community participation. And that gives us a right as a community, regardless of whether it's CDC or not, to speak to the powers that be and what's happening with our lives. But they're using technicalities not to dismiss information to us.
20 of this. Yeah.
Right, makes sense.
Mhm.
Definitely makes sense.
That's bottom. Just-
Now, one last thing,
Bottom here.
with the Citizen District Council that I have, mine is not located to our particular district. Since it's in District 1, yes, we'll represent District 1, but it's going to be open to all 7 districts.
Awesome.
Right.
So,
Awesome, Bob.
Okay,
So,
if
well,
you will send us as well those documents, we'll make a place on the board, on this board that we're working on, a section, and anybody who, and Tim's gonna probably add some great framework for that, and we'll just make sure everybody can get up to speed that needs to on that.
okay, I'll be happy to.
Okay, and then we found this portion of the settlement agreement.
Yeah, this statement is just the city has disclosed to the owners and the owners acknowledge that the city intends to enter into simultaneous transaction whereby it intends to sell a portion of the subject premises at or immediately after the final closing to Dearborn Capital Partners, LLC, pursuant to the terms of the separate purchase agreement dated November 2020 between the city as seller and Dearborn Capital Partners, LLC as purchasers. This is really the only reference in all of the documentation to that particular piece of the.
yeah. So I think the most important thing is going to be what the agreement between the city and Dearborn Capital Partners says, and whether or not that agreement requires Dearborn Capital Partners to improve and maintain the Phoenix Center, and if so, what are the particulars around that? And I think because that meeting just occurred Saturday, we probably won't get that document until, I assume, a week from tomorrow's council meeting, when it'll be in the minutes for that council meeting, I assume.
That sounds right. We may not see it till January 5th.
Well, that's possible too, you're right.
We may need Bob, we will need Bob's group very, very quickly to get in this, get a voice in this deal.
Yeah, made relative to community benefits, in that he attempted to extract a community center out of the agreement, but failed, is indicative of an interesting point. I don't know that community benefits is even being addressed in this mega real estate deal. About something that the community feels is the most important ingredient in their city. And yet nothing coming away from such a transaction, or not even be referenced, is incredible. I mean, it just is absolutely incredible.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Sure.
I haven't read any of this because I just heard about it this morning, but I did get a rumor that from a couple of residents who called and wanted to know about 100-year abatement for the people that's supposed to be working, community that's working with the city to buy this development. Is that a portion of this, or is that true?
Yeah, I don't know myself. I don't know the answer, Robert. It's I'll have to look at these documents, and then again, even if it's not in these documents, it could be elsewhere, including in documents from Saturday's meeting. So I don't know the answer.
Okay.
Mentioned in here, I'm just not sure where. But it was an aside. It wasn't it just was a part of the boilerplate statement early on in the document.
So whenever possible, I like to have a hard copy.
Yeah, we have a copy. Do you have a printer at home? You don't.
Yes.
But you can just take this PDF that we sent you
Oh, I don't have internet.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If you swing by here, if
Yeah,
we
we'll print
can,
out
we
a
can
copy for you.
bring you.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate it.
You coming by. Do we have any other things that we should be discussing, or should we focus on this and reconvene when we have some clarity?
Well, that would be my inclination to all of us examine the document here that we have, the pages 11 through 64, and come back in a few days and reconvene after we have a better sense of what's in the document. Again, there may well, as we've discussed already, there may well still be huge unknowns at that point until we get the documents from Saturday's meeting. But at least this will give us a good start.
Awesome. Well, let's do that then. Let's bid adieu and everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
You
Yes.
too.
And we'll talk later in the week. Anything comes up, let us know, and we'll do vice versa.
That sounds great. And thank you, Jim and Monica, for sending around the minutes from last week's meeting so that we can take a look at these documents. Many thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
See you, Robert.
Thank you. All right.
Bye, Bob. See you later.
All right. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving and thank you for the inclusion.
Of course. Great to talk with you as always, and happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
All right.